This is Western Buddha, and today we're gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be reacting to Antonio Talks. A message was sent to black people. Ah, shit, it was not this one. It was this one.
For these past few weeks, yo.
But anyways, um, yeah, I'm just gonna be reacting to the whole Carmelo and Austin case that happened recently, man. And man, that shit is sad as fuck, bro. Oh fuck, that was not the one. God damn it.
For these past few weeks, y'all, I have been arguing non-stop with them folks over this Carmelo Anthony case. Whether that be on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, these people will never understand our point of view. So I'm done arguing. I want to start this video off by saying I still 100% stand behind Carmelo Anthony. If you got a problem with that, you are free to unsubscribe and not support me. I could care less. But what I want to do today is highlight a case that is very similar and compare and contrast why things turned out.
Me too, bro. Honestly, I think this whole case should have just been like dropped. It should have just been one of those like, you know what, two teenagers doing stupid shit. Let's just drop it. Have them do like some sort of like community service or something like that. But like to send them for fucking jail or prison is like, bro, come on now.
Differently from Carmelo Anthony. Now, before we do that, I want to bring up a message that was sent to me by one of my supporters. I have a lot of younger black kids that watch my videos, and every other day or so, I get messages from them explaining some racism that they deal with, whether that be in school, of how their white friends won't stop saying the N-word. They won't stop bothering them. They won't stop doing little microaggressions. And I want to highlight this message I just got specifically because it also reminds me of this Carmelo Anthony case. So this was yesterday night, man. His name is CJ. He said, "Hey, Antonio, I've recently been dealing with like blatant racism and struggles with my baseball team teammates. And I'm like the only black person on the team, and it's really hard to find someone who can help." He said, "So I've been dealing with the N-word being said around me, like at me, multiple times, and different jabs. Like he has a lot of mishaps, so I'm just paraphrasing. They say he liked watermelon and grape flavor because he brought a Gatorade. He says, I really can't do anything because if I move teams, I won't be able to because it's late in the season. And I really don't want to lash out because of how they painted Carmelo in the light. He said, they'll make us look scary and stuff. I'm just really lost." You know, this is a heartbreaking message, man. And I ended up sending him a voice message. And I basically was like, man, I would, first thing first, you know, don't put your hands on nobody. And after you tell the coaches, tell your parents, how your parents talk with the coaches, have them get in contact with the parents of the people, you know, bullying you, and basically move on from there, man. So, you know, man, as black people, we gotta move carefully and cautiously around this world. In this situation, it just kind of gets into like, is it okay for our kids to be around these predominantly white areas? Like, you know, me personally, I don't think it's good. After that, he said,
Me neither, bro. And you know, I've been seeing a lot of fucking like raccoon black creators on YouTube too, just a bunch of the channels, and bro, the shit that they say is just fucking ridiculous, man. I mean, they're like questioning like, what? Oh, he brought a knife to fucking school. Why would you bring a knife to school? You only bring a knife to fucking school for blah blah blah. I'm just thinking to myself, bro, I knew so many fucking kids who brought knives to fucking school. They had like the fucking butterfly knife, or like the Swiss Army knife, or some sort of like knife, but it was like a toy. But you know, it was still sharp. And not even just that, but they'll also just be like saying like this one lady, she was black, and she was just saying like, you know, if you're ever in a confrontation like that, it's better to just get your ass beat and just fucking walk away. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? So you're telling me if I kick a bear and the bear fucking bites me, we should all just fucking hunt down every single fucking bear that exists? Like, it's like, what is going on with these people's minds? And like, so many people are so like this one fucking dude, he's like a black dude. Y'all probably fucking seen him. He's like a black dude with a beard. He wears all black. He has like glasses. He has like a fucking cap. And this motherfucker, bro, like, he was basically saying like, oh, well, you shouldn't go to fucking different types of fucking tents at school. And I'm like, bro, it's a fucking public school. What are you talking about? Like, come on now, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And like nobody even is actually listening to what actually happened. They're just thinking that, oh, he walked over wherever the fuck he wanted. No, dude, it was a fucking track meeting. It was a fucking like tournament or something going on. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. And what's so bizarre is like these people are so like they'll gladly talk about black people, you know, talk down to them. But at the same time, they don't even understand that like, yo, we live in a pretty fucked up country already. Like, of course shit like this is going to be happening on a persistent basis because look, bro, it's almost normalized that we have fucking school shootings now. It's normalized that women who get assaulted, we just forget about them. It's normalized that white collar criminals get away with the most of their fucking crimes. And with this, everybody's just like, you know, Carmelo shouldn't really have been there with a fucking backpack, a fucking with tennis shoes, or a fucking red backpack, or with fucking dreadlocks. He shouldn't have any of those fucking things. Like, motherfucker had to be wearing all fucking clear, like one of those clear backpacks. I don't know if anybody has ever seen them, but they have like clear backpacks so they can see inside your fucking backpack. Clear fucking clothes and clear fucking everything just so he wouldn't pose a fucking threat. That's how ridiculous this shit is gone.
Thanks for the response. First off, I haven't talked to my parents or coaches, but it's different from school. It's kind of like AAU. But I will let my mom know tonight. And I told him, man, let me know how things go. I'm here for him. And this is his TikTok page, man. If you got some advice for him, you know, if you are a former black person that was in these white, you know, predominantly white spaces, could you give him some advice? You know, this situation breaks my heart because he's right. If he lash out, if he defend himself, we already know how they're going to pan him out to be.
A lot of people have been commenting and DMing me this picture, which compares the verdict and sentence for Carmelo Anthony versus the verdict and sentencing for another man whose name is Cason Allison. And I'm not a lawyer, but I decided to do a little digging to see what the actual similarities and what the actual differences are between these two cases. So let me tell y'all what I found. So first, let me fill you in on Cason's actual case. So back on May 3rd, 2022, Cason Allison, who was 18 at the time, was a senior at Belton High School in Texas. It was a Tuesday morning, and around 9:47 a.m., him and another friend of his walk into the boys' bathroom at the school, and by the time Cason left, he had stabbed his 17-year-old classmate, Joe Ramirez. Now, context as to what led up to the stabbing is that prom was 4 days earlier, and while the two of them were at a prom after party, they got into it because Joe felt like Cason was being aggressive toward the prom date of one of Joe's friends. So they have this verbal altercation, and Cason claims that Joe pulled a gun on him during this altercation. But it's worth noting that a friend testified at the trial that it wasn't Joe, it was someone else.
A friend of Allison shared today that he saw someone pull a gun on Allison at the prom after party, but it was not Ramirez.
So the two of them have this argument, and afterward, a Snapchat group message is created where Cason suggests that the two of them should fight at a park. Joe apparently says he's not really down.
Fight, huh?
Down for the park, so the two of them plan to fight at the school, but they never lock down a time and a place. Now, before the day of the fight, multiple of Joe's friends testified that he told them he planned to seriously injure Joe.
Another close friend of Allison returned to the stand today discussing text.
Bro, you cannot deny what was happening, bro.
Messages between the two of them, and those texts contained things like Allison saying, "Bro, bring me a gun." Quote, he wanted Joe on life support and wanted to stomp his head in.
And then when
Man, what do y'all hear this shit, bro? Do y'all hear this, man? But hey, y'all, we be tripping.
Exactly, bro.
And we making it about race. We make everything about race.
detectives pulled Cason's Snapchat messages, they heard a voice recording of him telling someone, quote, "We finna catch them tomorrow, and I'm going to send him to the hospital." So that all happens
And
in
he using
between prom
AV.
and Tuesday, May 3rd. And then on Tuesday, the school day starts, And after first period, Joe and 4 of his friends go to the boys' bathroom because that is apparently something they did every day. But this time, shortly after they go to the bathroom, the school cameras catch Kaysen and a friend of his also walking into that same bathroom. Now, according to the testimony from the trial, this meetup was not planned, and Joe was actually surprised to see Kaysen in the bathroom. Multiple witnesses who were also in the bathroom at that time testified that Kaysen did not want to fight at school. He emphasized they were close to graduation and he did not want to risk that, but Joe apparently wanted to fight. In a recorded interview with detectives, Kaysen says that once the boys started taking off their backpack, he took out a knife that he had brought to school with him and said, quote, "Don't touch me or I'll stab you." At this point, a student...
That sounds very familiar. Carmelo said, "Touch me and see what happens." Pointing out similarities, y'all.
That was also in the bathroom takes out his phone and begins recording the altercation. And on that video, he captures Joe swing on Kaysen lunge and stab Joe. Then there's a scream and the video cuts. Now, following this incident, Kaysen is caught on the cameras running out of the bathroom. He ends up making it all the way to his house. But because multiple students were witnesses, they were able to tell police and officials that Kaysen was the one who did this. So law enforcement arrives at Kaysen's house within the hour, and they find him in his bathroom on the phone telling someone he, quote, "did something at school," and asking them to take him to Waco, Texas, another city. Police search Kaysen's house and they find the knife that he used, and although Kaysen told them he only stabbed Joe one time, the medical examiner testified on the stand that Joe was actually stabbed 4 times.
We learned there was one large stab wound across Ramirez's chest, which caused multiple injuries to both the heart itself and the left lung, as well as 2 stab wounds on his buttocks and a wound on his upper back and left forearm.
So following this, Kaysen was charged with murder. But during the trial, the jurors were given the option to convict him of murder, manslaughter, or criminally negligent homicide. His jury chose criminally negligent homicide, which in layman's terms means you've committed some kind of negligent act that you didn't realize would end up killing somebody. So for this...
Basically, it's another way of saying you planned a murder, but you didn't comprehend the idea that the murder plan would have killed somebody.
Conviction, Kaysen was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Now, for the sake of full context, there was some testimony that Joe and his friends were known to get in fights and apparently known to jump people. Okay, so that's the background. Now let's do a quick run through of some of the similarities and some of the differences. First up, there's a clear difference in the history each of these defendants and their victims had with each other. Kaysen and Joe obviously went to school together and had some hostility with each other, even if only for 4 days. Carmelo and Austin Metcalf, on the other hand, had no history. They didn't go to school together and they did not know each other before that day. Next, let's talk about the planning aspect. So it's clear from the Snapchat messages that Kaysen and Joe were planning to fight. In fact, according to what was presented, Kaysen was the one who first suggested a location for the 2 of them to fight. And he communicated to multiple people that he planned on seriously injuring Joe through this fight. As far as planning on Carmelo's hand, there was no evidence presented in his trial that there were any communications or planning involved indicating that he was looking for this fight. Now, they both did have knives on them on the day of the incident that they brought to school grounds, but based on the evidence that was presented, Kaysen communicated his intention on using that knife, and there was no evidence presented that showed Carmelo communicated.
And also, I heard it was a multi-tool that was actually permitted by Texas. Like, you're allowed to have that in Texas, so she maybe have miscommunicated that. It was...
Yeah, it was. That's one of the things that everybody should really understand is that they are lying about what Carmelo used in the on Austin, the knife, the quote unquote knife. They keep saying that it was a black knife, but it was actually what Antonio just said. It was like a Swiss Army knife or something like that. They just hear the word fucking knife and they're already fucking thinking violence with the fucking word. Or I think I even searched it up and it was like a folder knife too, which is 3 inches. And I know to a lot of fucking people who watch this fucking case and are just already calling Carmelo a murderer with a fucking 3-inch knife. I know you think 3 inches is big, bro. It really isn't. your girlfriend is obviously lying to you about your size being fucking big, despite it being fucking 3 inches. But the reality is that the human body can easily die from anything. I could murder somebody with a fucking construction orange cone if I wanted to.
Isn't a knife, but she cooking right now.
His intent with the knife. Okay, next, let's talk about the threat or warning that both of the defendants gave to their victims. Kaysen told detectives in his recorded interview that he told Joe prior to stabbing him, quote, "Don't touch me or I'm going to stab you." And that has a lot of similarity to what Carmelo told Austin before he stabbed him, which was, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." Okay, now let's talk about level of force. In Kaysen's case, there was video evidence that showed Joe punched him. And during the trial, there was testimony that that punch resulted in Kaysen having a closed head injury. And there was also claim from people on the witness stand that when they were all in the bathroom, Joe and his friends locked the bathroom door to prevent Kaysen and his friend from leaving. But that claim was never proven. It was just something somebody said on the stand. Now, in Carmelo's case, on the other hand, there was never any consistent testimony Austin touched Carmelo before Carmelo stabbed him. Someone said it was a push. Someone said it was a two-handed push. Other people said it was a shove. And one person even said it was a lineman move. So the one thing that is for certain is that it wasn't a punch. But the one thing that's similar between the two cases is that the victims in both cases committed the first assault or unlawful touch. Next, let's talk about...
That's what a lot of fucking people are even saying too, bro, is they don't even hear that part of the fucking case. They just hear like, oh, he put his hands on him. That whole like action scene, I guess you could say, is completely like unimaginable to them. They just hear, oh, Carmelo stabbed him. They don't hear, oh, Austin fucking touched him or pushed him or whatever. I don't know. Honestly, it's literally one of those, they hear it from one ear and it goes out the other.
What happened after the stabbings. So in Kaysen's case, he left the school premises, went to his house, and officers caught him on the phone trying to get a ride out of the city. Carmelo, on the other hand, did leave the tent where this incident happened, but he was stopped by a coach where he remained on scene until police came. Okay, and now the last comparison I've noted has to do with the verdict. So in both cases, jurors had the option to convict the defendants of murder or manslaughter. But in Kaysen's case, they were also given the option of this criminal negligent homicide. Carmelo's attorney did ask the judge for this option, but the prosecutors argued that that should not be an option for the jury because there isn't, quote, any evidence in the record that the defendant was unaware that his actions could lead to death. And after hearing that argument, the judge sided with the prosecutor, and so this option was not given as a lesser included charge to the jury. So, since both of these cases happened in Texas, the defendants were given the option to have the judge issue their sentence or the jury issue their sentence. In Kaysen's case, he chose the judge, who ended up sentencing him to the maximum allowed for criminal negligent homicide, which is 10 years. Carmelo, on the other hand, chose the jury to issue his sentence, and they sentenced him to 35 years, where the max was 99. Okay, so that's my comparative analysis, and I'm curious what you think about the similarities and the differences between these two cases.
Big shout out to her page, man. She break down things elegantly. Y'all show her some love. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about how I am going to start showcasing.
Man, that was the most unfairest fucking trial that has ever happened, bro. I'll also be reacting to Austin's dad. His dad's reaction to the whole like case. And we're gonna be watching Legion of Men. Before anybody says anything, yes, Legion of Men is, I guess you could say, a right wing, but he's also an idiot in terms of like, he's been wrong in multiple fucking videos, and it's really like shocking and surprising that he's never once like announced it, like, oh yeah, I did fuck up on that. Maybe he has, but I don't really keep in touch with this fucker or anything like that. So anyways,
I'll let it play right now because this is insane. This is the same guy. I want to remind you before you watch. This is the same guy that said, like, well, no, don't make this racial. They're just kids. They made mistakes. nothing to do with race, then he deals with the black community for a little bit. And listen,
life is not easy. God doesn't say that. God says there's going to be trials and tribulations. God says there's going to be people out there who will deceive you. People out there, I mean, if we want to go back Old Testament, eye for an eye, Sodom and Gomorrah, turn to stone, man lays with a man, you die. I mean, this is all your personal choices. It's none of my business. I stay in my lane. Just don't come in my lane with your. I respect everyone until they disrespect me. I've been disrespected by so many people, so many times while I've had to sit here and take it. I'm going to tell you right now, Charleston White
Sit in his little cuck chair, his little habitat.
you think you're funny? We'll see who's laughing. Drew Anthony, you're a coward, and you raised one. Kayla, you drunk. What'd you do to that boy to make him stab somebody? My God, what kind of mother are you?
I haven't seen this.
Hey, Kevin Hayes, you fucking liar. Day after it happened, how many lies did you sit and type up on your keyboard, you big keyboard warrior? You a big tough man. You still live in Baton Rouge? Remember you said you'd come to Frisco, buddy? You're supposed to find me. I told you we could sit down and talk. That's all you do. Talk, Mr. Squeaky Clean. You're the only one in your family without a damn record. I guess that's something to brag about in your culture.
Whoa! What
You
a
people
change
hang your hat on the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Let me make one up. Y'all can make let me make something racist up so y'all can go viral. I got a new name for Mello, okay? Because he was such this little boy y'all were trying to portray. How about Watermelon Felon? How's that one strike you? I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night. Because he's gonna have many
I bet you anything he fucking used ChatGPT for that shit. What rhymes with watermelon? Oh, felon, hell yeah. Watermelon felon, hell yeah, bro. That's gonna be fucking funny as fuck.
nights to think about what the he did. I forgave him, so I don't carry the hate and the anger.
Wow.
So I don't.
He forgave him. Yet, he's talking shit about everybody else. What a very forgiving man.
Don't get ate up like cancer and kills you from the inside. It's like me drinking poison and hoping it kills you. Doesn't work that way. You gotta let that stuff go or it will kill you. It will eat you up inside. So when people ask me, how can you forgive him? If I didn't, I would have wound up killing him and going to prison myself. That's how stupid people, when you get irrational, because you can't make a good decision if you're emotional. Emotion and
You know, I've always heard people say shit like that. I would have just killed them myself. And then when you hear about this guy, he has like, you know, he was friends with a judge. Basically, he has friends in powerful places. So, you know, it's like, of course he can punish him in many different ways. You know, to him, killing him isn't enough. You gotta think about it like that. Thinking about him in prison is way better than, you know, hanging him up.
intellect. Do not mix. If you're emotional, you can't come up with a logical solution.
I wonder why he didn't tell his son that shit. He could have just easily just left Anthony alone in that fucking track meeting.
It keeps going.
Weren't these people grasping that justice was served here?
You'd have to ask them. My opinion is they are of low IQ, no moral compass whatsoever.
I can tell you right now, this cross right here, that's his fucking neighbor's cross or his friend's cross. This is such a fucking random place to put the cross. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, what do you mean by that? Western Buddha? Muerto Buddha, I mean? Just look at all the shit around it. Usually, when you place the cross on a wall, it's practically like naked other than the cross being there. And this is such a weird fucking place to put it. it's almost like it's almost hidden. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like you have to purposely like put it in an area where you will see it. But this, come on now.
Blinded by race and generally a nuisance.
And just how convenient it is for him to have this fucking video call and have the cross right behind him to show that he's a Christian man, a man of faith.
To society.
You went from, this has nothing to do with race. Stop making it about race, you guys. Yeah, poor boy's got to live with the consequences of his action. Do you guys remember the presser he had after his own son got killed? And then the right wing is a fucking liberal cuck. This guy is apologizing because his own son got stabbed instead of demanding retribution. He's over here trying to, temper the storm that's coming in terms of race relations. And he's trying to, kumbaya his way out of his son got murdered because he was white. Because that kid wanted to put a chip on his shoulder and a little badge on the streets to show how bad he is.
Dude, this is why the case is so fucking... I would say it should be more viral than it's getting, because this is the shit that people just hear. They just hear the part, oh, Anthony and Austin were basically confronting each other, and you just hear the words, oh, and Anthony was grabbing his backpack, grabbing something inside the backpack. It's like, okay, what was Austin doing? He was just standing there like a fucking idiot? Like, nobody asked these questions about what exactly was happening. And that's why I said before is, yeah, sure, they have witnesses and saying like, oh, well, Anthony was being more confrontational or whatever. I shouldn't even say more, but they just say that, yeah, he was being more confrontational. But they don't tell you, oh, how confrontational was Austin acting. I mean, bro, in Antonio Speaks, one of his videos, Austin put his dad in the hospital. And I know people, when I was in high school, people who got into fights with their like parents, like uncles and shit like that. Bro, they were the more confrontational people in my school. They would always be bragging like, yo, I put my fucking my uncle in the hospital, or like I fight with my uncle. Like it was like literally like way more of a fucking badge than fucking stabbing somebody to them. So, like I said, we don't really know much about this fucking family, but like I said, like if you just look into white people culture, you'll get an entirely new perspective other than this bullshit fucking facade of I'm a very forgiving man with a fucking fake cross in the back.
Tough guy is. He went looking for trouble. He brought knives to school. He tried to be a little gangbanger. He was raised in a fucking suburb of America. His daddy was home. What's the excuses now? He had a nice little middle-class Clarence lifestyle, trying to shack it up with the thugs and look badass and try to earn some street for no fucking reason other than he wanted to belong somewhere. Where was his daddy? His daddy should be in the home. His daddy was in the home. He was raised in a bad environment. He lived in the suburbs. And then you come out, the father of the...
And this is what I also say too, is like, people just, like, this is what I mean by fucking try being a fucking idiot. Like, bro, have people forgotten where the fuck they live? This is the United States. You have literally school shootings like every fucking month. You have fucking like priests being arrested for fucking pedophilia. You have like cops shooting civilians, unarmed civilians, on a daily fucking basis. You have fucking Trump in the Epstein files and nobody seems to give a fuck about it. And people still think like, oh man, like these kids are crazy, man, for fucking bringing a knife to school. Bro, I knew so many fucking people bringing knives to school. Hell, I've even heard people bringing guns to school. Like, what the fuck are you guys, what the fuck is people going on? Like do you really not understand the type of fucking country that you live in? Are you telling me right now that the terrorist empire that you are currently a part of, you don't know any sort of fucking violence? Like, brother, come on. Like, how far up your head is up your ass that you don't understand the country's culture of violence around you already?
Slain child comes out and goes, hey guys, let's just, hey, don't fan the flames of racism. Don't listen. They're just children. They don't know what they're doing. And it goes from that to these people are low IQ. They have no moral compass. They're a nuisance to society. Bro, you dealt with the black community after your son gets crazy.
You said you forgave Carmelo Anthony after he took your son's life. Tell me about that. What was going through your mind, your heart, your soul on that?
Well, I've said this multiple times over in many interviews. Forgiveness is actually for me. So I don't carry the hate, the rage, the anger.
Yeah, and that's why he's fucking doing a fucking TV interview.
Because if you carry something like that inside you and you don't release it, it's like cancer. It's going to eat you up from the inside out. It's going to consume you. And I'll be honest, look at these people. Are they consumed with... I mean, everyone has a right to protest. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But realistically, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the case. They have the right for an appeal. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. This case was ironclad. And people don't understand, in the appeals, they're looking for procedural errors. They're not going to retry the case. They're not going to introduce new evidence. There's not any new testimony or new facts that are going to come out when they review this case for appeal. So, but the actions of these people outside the courthouse, I don't have to say a word. Their character shows through, and that's all I'll say. And to be honest, every video I've seen is a certain demographic. I don't see other people acting like this, but that's who they choose to be. As long as they stay in their lane, I'm okay. Just don't come in my lane.
Jeff, thank you for...
Wow.
Man, dude, honestly, it literally just sounds like a fucking old dude trying to spread some fucking bullshit ass fucking wisdom. And it's shit that every fucking Gen Zer has heard when they were like in middle school. Like, this isn't really like profound or anything like that. And it's just very ridiculous statements that he's just making.
Oh. Of course, they've been memeing the shit out of Carmelo. And they got a Marvel here, and they put him as Watermelon Felon and Watermelon Suit and all that other shit. And people are starting to go ham just because of response from, somebody on that side. Again, I always like to keep it not biased and include some of the rhetoric from the other side of the aisle, even from the same community, because you understand. So here's what he's talking about.
To hear this, but there's a reason why black people hate black conservatives. And let me explain to you guys what I mean. You guys, for some reason, we live in a generation of black people who are oddly militarized and aggressive towards any race or people that disagree with their notion of them being so racially oppressed. And the people that black people hate the most are black conservatives or other black people who refuse to give in to the notion that we are racially oppressed in today's modern era. And so the next question becomes, why do black people get so upset when you disagree with them about the current states of how the nation is perceiving African Americans? And now it just boils down to three things. It boils down to tribalism, ignorance, and years of conditioning from socialists, Marxists, and black activists to make black people think that they are victims. And
Bro. Okay, the tribalism, I don't deny it. I think as much as I feel like a lot of black people would say like, oh, they're the most welcoming and shit like that. I mean, I don't know, really, to be completely honest with you. And honestly, I personally don't care. I feel like a lot of people are very much opened, I'm not open, but like more welcoming besides white people or Anglo-white people. and the whole tribalism is just, I think it's just very normal to just see something that you relate to. And then I forgot what was the other thing, but the whole radical thing, like, brother, do you really not understand do you really not understand the past? Like, this shit wasn't that long ago. Like, the people that are in power now were taught to hate you, to despise you, to make sure that you are miserable for life. And the black conservatives are basically using your dumbass to benefit them. And it's just very pathetic for this guy to just be like, yeah, like, black people just think they're victims. Like, no, bro, like, that's not what they're trying to say. They're saying that the system is corrupt and that, like, yeah, like, I think I've heard, like, most black people are middle class, but, you know, if you look into, like, working class, it's primarily, like, Mexicans or Latino immigrants. Why is that?
And on more of the black activist thing, you guys, like, we were taught in high school that Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, all these other Al Sharpton, all these other guys, these people were the pinnacle of what black people are today. Come to find out, Martin Luther King is one of the main reasons why welfare and abortions are such a huge problem within the black community today. Come to find out that the whole Rosa Parks debacle was more about getting a lawsuit rather it was fighting for African-American rights to sit in public transit. And pretty much Al Sharpton was the P. Diddy of fucking civil rights activists. And here's the thing, right? The good part of the 40s, 50s, and all the way up to now, these same activists have been brainwashing black people to think that they are either less than, owed to, or the only reason why they don't have a good footing in today's society is because of white people.
And that's also another thing that I also want to discuss is that, like, I feel like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm trying my very best not to talk bad about black people, but there is definitely very flaws in how they don't really reciprocate their own communities, such as this guy right here, where I believe now more than ever the black community is very nitpicky about, like, just the negative shit nowadays. And I also feel like the sad reality too about it all is that I don't think black people can truly save themselves. And I don't mean that in a terrible sense. What I mean is that if the black community was to ever be saved, it has to be by somebody who isn't black. Now more than ever, because I'm seeing how truly divided they are now more than ever. And like I said, sadly to really say, like, it almost feels like they're almost powerless. And they've been putting up a good fight for the longest time. But like I said, nobody wants to listen to them. Everybody thinks that them saying that the system is rigged, that the oligarchy was truly running the United States, and nobody listens to them. That's why I say, like, if you ever wanted to save black people, because if you save black people, you save everybody. And I understand that now more than ever. But the sad reality is that it won't be a black person saving them. And that's a very sad thought to think about. The whole, like, jury thing being bullshit. So this was a 1944 case. George Stinney Jr., a 14-year-old black boy who was wrongfully executed in South Carolina in 1944 for the murders of two young white girls. He remained the youngest person legally executed in the United States in the 20th century. The arrest in March 44, two girls, 11-old Betty June Beckner, I think I'm saying that right, and old Mary Emma Thames went missing in Alcolu, South Carolina. Their bodies were found in a ditch the next day. George Stingley, who lived nearby and had helped in the search, was immediately arrested. The interrogation, he was held and interrogated for hours in complete isolation without his parents, legal counsel, or witnesses present. Without his parents, Police claimed Police claimed he confessed, but no written or record confession ever existed. The trial, his trial lasted only about 2 hours. His court-appointed attorney called no witnesses and mounted virtually no defense. An all-white jury deliberated for just 10 minutes and before convicting him. The execution. On June 16, 1944, Stingley was put to death in the electric chair. He was so small, weighing just over 90 pounds, that guards had to use a Bible as a booster seat so he would fit in the straps. So, yeah. And people are wondering to themselves, like, oh, why are people overreacting over this shit? It's like, bro, look what happened here. 11-year-old boy literally given the death penalty of girls practically the same age as him. In fact, I remember hearing about this, and there was a lot of people actually saying that, oh, that the way that the girls were found, I think they were found with like their skulls were caved in. And a lot of them were doubting that George here did it, because they were like, there's no fucking way that this kid had the strength to take two girls down and leave like that much damage to the girls. But because he was like the only one that, I guess you could say, like, he knew them, I think, or he saw them or something like that, that they basically just put the blame on him. And yeah, he was basically, you can almost say, murdered the boy. And yeah, I can understand why everybody's so fucking, like, angry about the whole Anthony Carmelo thing. Like, yeah, there are some black people that are just like, saying the most like craziest shit, but the outrage is real and it makes sense. Like, it's like I said, like, honestly, I think Austin and Anthony, that whole thing, and Anthony should not have gone to jail. I think he should have just been like, they should have just dropped the case, is what I'm trying to say. Drop the case. It was two fucking dumbass fucking teenagers. That's it. Live with the consequences. But instead, you have to punish somebody, right? And that's such a bullshit way of, like, looking how justice is done. But like I said, the father is a very forgiving man. So, anyways, my lunch is over. Peace.